Hi everybody, welcome to another installment of Dwayne Allen Guitar Concepts. I hope everyone's having a great day and a great week. I want to talk today a little bit about playing melodies for jazz tunes. I guess this could apply really to playing melodies of any kind of tune, but we're going to just use a couple jazz standards as the examples. I'll put this one in the intermediate category because I think if you're an advanced player, you should know a lot of this stuff already. So basically, I just want to talk about different ways to approach playing melodies on jazz tunes and, some of the things that I have my students do. This is an area that is shockingly weak for a lot of players. Sometimes I'll have students play a tune with me and they'll actually be able to improvise it over it pretty well. But then when they go to play the melody, they're making a lot of mistakes, or they're just not playing it very strong or even artistically, and that's something that's a big problem, because playing the melody of a song really should be the most important thing that you can do. I always tell my students that if you go, let's say you go play with a jazz group and you're on a gig or a jam session and you play a tune, and you play the melody really, really well, real strong with a nice groove, and you comp really well, and you play a solo and your solo is not that great, the other musicians aren't going to really care that much. They're just going to be happy that you know how to comp well and play the melody well. But man, if you screw the melody up, that's like the end of the world. I know myself as a younger guy back in the day when I'd go jam with the older musicians, and if I would come in there and screw the melody up, oh boy, they would berate me on stage, and it has happened before. So I learned my lesson very quickly. Anyway, so a couple things to think about. So in general, when you're a guitarist and you're working on playing a tune, I recommend being able to play the melody in every position on the guitar, first of all. So if you take a tune like Autumn Leaves, right? I'm not going to play through the whole entire melody, but the first position that you should learn it in, obviously, is the first position with the open strings, right? So like a... that kind of a thing, right? So you want to learn it there first and foremost, okay? But once you learn it in the first position with the open strings, you actually want to get away from that as soon as possible, because most jazz guitar players don't play in the open position with all the open strings. I remember when I was a kid, my guitar teacher used to call that cowboy position, because that's where you play all the cowboy chords, right? So anyway, so when you're playing jazz guitar, you really want to be able to play in higher up positions. So then you learn the same melody in the second position. That kind of a thing, right? Okay, and then one thing I want to point out before we go any higher up the neck. So one thing that you should think about when you're reading the melody of a song is think about what key are you in. Okay, I'm doing this song right now in the key of E minor. This is a minor key song. But the key of E minor has one sharp, which is basically the same thing as G major. So let's pretend that we're kind of in G major, right? So when you're playing the melody of a song, most melodies really just go up and down a scale for the most part. So if you, let's say you want to learn the melody in the second position, play your G major / E minor scale in that area, and the melody is going to pretty much follow that scale, and it's going to make it a lot easier with knowing what notes to play and what fingering to play. So if you play your G major there, right, then when you play the melody, it's pretty much going to stay in that scale. Right? So it really fits the scale. Then there's a couple notes here that aren't in the scale. Right? So you have to change those. But for the most part, the melody kind of stays in E minor / G major, right? So then you learn it in the fourth position. And when you're in the fourth position, if you know where all the notes are, let's say you're E minor right here. Right? So you're going to go, once again, follows the scale. the 7th position. Where is the E minor there? You play the E minor in the 7th. It's going to follow that scale pretty close. And then if you want to do in the 10th position, same deal. Play your E minor in the 10th position. Now it's going to kind of go out of the 10th position with the C. Whoops. And then, so you kind of go out of there because of the lower notes. Okay, so learning it in each position is really important because then you could play it anywhere on the guitar neck. You don't want to be stuck in one position. You should be able to play it anywhere. Now, some of you are thinking about, yeah, but you should be playing it up an octave. You're right. Whenever you're playing a melody on the guitar, you should learn it as written with the octave that the melody's written in. So like the way I just played it there was the octave that it's written in. But you really want to learn it up an octave, okay? Couple reasons for that. Number one is it cuts through a band better. Usually when you're playing a melody on the guitar, you're usually going to play it up an octave. So if you're playing here, right, it's not going to sound bad, but it's just going to get lost in the mix a little bit. When you play it up an octave, it cuts through better. So how do you play the melody up an octave? Well, basically, when you're doing the melody up an octave, you're not going to be able to play in one position as easily, like I did it in the 2nd, then I did it in the 5th, then I did it in the 7th. It's going to be hard to do that because you're limited really to 3 strings when you're playing it up an octave, so it's going to be much more horizontal. It's going to be more horizontal. So what I would recommend is learn how to play octaves on the guitar for whatever note you have. Where is the octave higher? Right. Right? So be able to figure out how to play an octave on any note. Okay, so let's say we're playing the melody in the 2nd position. Right? Figure out where the octave notes are. Right? Those are the higher notes, and then you play it the higher octave. Right? Then you just keep going like that. You just keep figuring out, okay, the whole melody of the song in the regular octave, then you figure it out an octave higher, okay? You can finger it any way you want. You can do it up here, but like I said, when you're doing it up an octave, you're usually going to move more horizontally, okay? Horizontal is good anyway. So, like this. Then you might want to move down. Whoops, I'm screwing it up. Okay, but then you could do it here. Like that, right? So you can play it any fingering you want, but it's definitely going to be more horizontal. So like I said, when you're playing with a band, you kind of want to focus on playing it up an octave, but you should learn it all over the neck in different positions. That way you'll know the melody perfectly. I screwed it up once, so that's not good. But anyway, so that's some of the ways to approach playing a melody. Now, the most important thing is your interpretation of the melody, okay? The way I just played it for you in all those different positions was basically exactly how it's written. Da, 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 right? So classical and jazz is different in this regard. When you're playing a classical piece on guitar or any other instrument, you're pretty much expected to play it how it's written on the paper. I mean, you can interpret it your own way to a certain extent, but your interpretation has to match the era of music. Like you wouldn't play a Bach piece the same as you would play a Wagner piece or whatever, because it's a different era, right? So getting into jazz guitar, these melodies, most of the time, the way that they're written are written very, very simple with almost no syncopation in them. And they do that because it gives you a lot of space where you can interpret the melody any way you want, okay? You want to make the melody like an artistic statement, equal or better than the solo. When you listen to any of the greats, Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Chet Baker, whoever, right? The way they play the melody of the song that it is just as important as their solo. And it's actually a beautiful artistic statement, okay? Like if you listen to the way Miles Davis plays My Funny Valentine or something like that, or Bye Bye Blackbird, he could almost not even solo on that tune and it would still be amazing because of the artistic statement of the melody, right? So how do you do this? You want to give it some syncopation, you want to make it swing, and you're actually allowed to change up the rhythm and the expression of it. So for instance, if I was going to play the melody, instead of doing it like this, right? It's very boring like that. It doesn't groove at all, right? So if I was going to play it, I would play it like this. 1, 2, You see how I'm kind of making it swing more, changing the rhythm, playing some syncopation. I even maybe added a couple extra notes, but not too much. You don't want to overdo it. It's an art form. It really is. And when you play a tune, you really got to play it with authority and with confidence, because so many, aspiring jazz guitarists, I swear, they'll play the melody and it's so weak. They might even play a really good improvisation on the song, but the melody is just blah. There's just nothing there. And that's, to me, like a cardinal sin. You should be able to kill on the melody and sound great and sound natural and make it like confident, okay? This is something that's very hard to teach. And, the way I kind of help with my students is I just play it for them and I tell them to kind of emulate kind of how I do it. And most of them get it pretty well. But really, the key is you have to listen to many versions of whatever tune you're working on and listen to the greats do it, okay? And to be honest with you, the most important thing is you should listen to the way a singer sings the melody. So you should listen to Frank Sinatra doing it, or Ella Fitzgerald, or Sarah Vaughan, or Chet Baker, or Louis Armstrong, or all the great singers of all time. Nobody presents a melody better than a singer. Some people get close, but usually the singers have everybody beat on melodies, okay? So it's a skill that's very hard to teach, but it's something that you need to think about. So if you're going to learn any tune, listen to as many versions as you can of the greats on how they do it. Maybe even transcribe how they play the melody, like literally learn it note for note how they play the melody. And if you do that enough, you'll get much better at this and you'll get much more artistic at it and stronger at it and more confident at it, okay? A lot of people believe that when you learn melodies of songs that you should really learn the lyrics of the song so that you can understand the meaning of the words in the melody. That's a great idea. It really is, because it gives you the idea of what the song's trying to express, and you want to try to bring those emotions out in the melody. That's something that I need to do more of myself as well. But if you actually listen to a lot of singers singing the melody, you'll actually hear the words and you'll hear how the singer interprets the words into the emotion of the song, right? So another song that's written very, very, very straight is something like All the Things You Are. I'm going to play the melody up an octave because that's how you should start learning all your melodies, is up an octave. So it'd be like... Right? That's the very, very straight as written, right? You would never want to play it like that, right? You want to make it swing. You want to make it groove. So if I was going to do it, I would do it something like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. see how I'm playing it there? Trying to make it swing, trying to make it groove, making you tap your foot, hopefully. But I'm playing syncopation. Boom, doo, doo, You're gonna do a lot of anticipation. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, you're gonna maybe do it on the anaphor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, doo, 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 right? That's syncopation. That's what jazz is all about. Syncopation and swinging in eighth notes. So it's a skill that you're going to have to work on. You're not going to get it overnight. It's an art form. Listen to the great melody players, like I said, Miles Davis, Chet Baker, Dexter Gordon, all the singers, you know, Louis Armstrong especially, because really everyone's copying Louis Armstrong. Nobody does it better than him. Listen to all the Louis Armstrong records, like in the 50s with Oscar Peterson Trio and all the stuff he does with Ella Fitzgerald. They just do countless standards. Every one of them is a gem. It's beautiful. So listen to melodies. You can even transcribe a vocalist how they do a melody. Take the way maybe Louis Armstrong would do Summertime. Listen to the way he plays it on the trumpet even, on the Porgy and Bess record. It's a masterpiece. Transcribe melodies. You'll start to get better at it. But remember, just to review, so learn the melody in each position. In the octave it was written, and then start trying to learn it up an octave. The up an octave is important for two main reasons. The number one, like I said, it cuts through with a band, okay? The next reason is I'm going to do another video soon on how to build a chord melody. Chord melody is when you play the melody and the chords at the same time, and it's a huge part of jazz guitar. Right? Chords and melody. The melody is always up an octave. So first skill to be able to build chord melodies is you got to learn how to play all your melodies up an octave. So start doing that with all your tunes, and then I'm going to give you some other stuff to work on, and then you'll be ready to build your own chord melodies. All right? I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, please click the subscribe button and like the video if you like it, and tell your friends, send links out. But I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great night. Thanks.